there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the Groundhog Day hop. And this is going to be an interesting one because we are scraplifting ourselves every year on Groundhog Day, scraplifting the same layout. So we're redoing the same layout over and over and over again every year on Groundhog Day. So you're kind of going to have to wait a long while to see the progression because it's an annual hop. So it's a little bit different, but a lot of fun. So I showed you there at the beginning the Christmas layout that I did. That was an 8x8 size, and now I'm doing a 12x12, and I'm going with a fall theme. So I pulled out some really old papers from Simple Stories. This is paper from their sweater weather collection and maybe a little bit of their pumpkin spice collection, and it is quite old, several years old. In fact, I don't typically buy a lot of fall themed papers because in California our fall season is very short. We have summer, we have some leaves falling off the trees and it still feels like summer, and then we have a couple of crisp days and then it's winter. And so and by winter I mean it's just cold. We don't have snow in my area, so yeah, it's a little bit of a short season. So even the 3 photos that I have here, we're at a pumpkin patch, and we're wearing long sleeves because it's cold in the morning, but by afternoon you're back to short sleeves and potentially even shorts. And then the evening gets cold again. So it's kind of an interesting day and an interesting short season for us. So these 3 photos are taken at the pumpkin patch, and it is Noah and his mom and his dad and his other grandpa doing, I say his other grandpa, his grandpa on his dad's side. Not that I'm a grandpa. They are at the pumpkin bowling area at the pumpkin patch. So they have pins set up, and you take a pumpkin, a smaller pumpkin, and you roll it down the aisle between the hay, and you try and knock down as many pins as you can. And he thought that was great fun, and it was cute because his grandpa's sitting kind of towards the end, and as the pumpkin would roll and hit like 1 or 2 of the pins, it wasn't quite hard enough to knock things down, so he would tap them with his foot and knock them down for Noah, and we'd all have like a big hooray, and Noah thought it was great. I did take this alternate piece of paper that I had from one of those same 2 collections. I'm not sure which papers are from which collection, so that's why I mentioned both, but I believe most of them are from Sweater Weather. So I am fussing out this corner detail that was on this piece of 12x12 paper. I don't use a lot of papers that kind of have those prints just off in the corner. I do on occasion, but not very often. And in the original layout, I did have a piece of paper that had that kind of corner detailing. And so rather than just using that piece of paper that I had for the fall, I decided to cut out the corner detailing on it and put it on this other much busier floral pattern. And I thought it worked well because it's a large floral pattern and it has all of the same colors in it. So it kind of I don't want to say it softens the layout, but it kind of makes it so that there's less of that tiny or the small floral pattern, so it's not as busy to the eye. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. I am popping the entire thing up onto some foam tape because I really like the dimension that gives, and I'm just using the cheap Walmart foam. It is adhesive backed on one side, and then the other side I just use my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to hold it down. And oftentimes I will stick my acrylic block on top just to kind of hold it in place while I am working on other parts of the layout. Now my 3 photos are slightly smaller than a 3x4 because I print them on my Canon Selfie, which does not print a true 4x6. And I also print them with a border, so they are a little bit smaller, and I don't mind that. I think they work well for this particular layout. And I am going to back them with some additional papers. I knew I wanted a journaling spot up in that upper left-hand side, very much like the inspiration piece has. So I thought I would use that. Now in the inspiration piece, I did use a border punch with scallops at the bottom of this piece of paper, the paper that goes in the area that I'm working on right now. But in this case, I switched it up and I am using a notebook edge punch at the top rather than the scallop at the bottom. And I like the way that looks. And the reason I just trimmed off a little bit more was I wanted it just a tiny bit shorter. So I just trimmed it off the top because the top had a little bit more real estate, that brown strip, than the red did at the bottom. So I decided to use the back side of this piece of paper that I had cut is that the paper that I cut the florals out of? Oh my goodness, I don't even know. Anyway, I'm using the plaid side of one of the papers that are in one of these two collections, and I really like the way that it looks. I know it's really busy, but it does a good job of matting off of that wood grain paper, which kind of reads, it's not a solid, but it kind of reads more like a solid or an ombre rather than a busy pattern piece of paper, because the pattern is so large with those wood planks. So I'm liking how that looks. It's also bringing the colors that are on the floral background paper more up to this top layer. So the plaid has all of the same colors that the floral does, and I'm just bringing that layer up to the top again. And I'm liking how it's looking. I like the addition of a little bit of white right behind the photos. Now, I do have a white border on the photos, but that plaid also has a white in it. And I think it's really interesting because Simple Stories kind of mixes their whites and their their whites and their creams, even within the collection. And so I couldn't even be sure that one of these was from one collection and one was from another, because I was looking at them, and Sweater Weather has both white and cream color backgrounds in it. So I don't really have a problem mixing those, but I know a lot of people do. I just kind of treat them just like every other color. If I'm going to put that color in one area, I'm going to put it in multiple areas. And I think that it looks fine because the background paper has a white background to it, and then the cream color journaling area, and then the cream color 3x4 over on the upper right hand side. It works well, and I don't see any problem with that. I'm going to go ahead and start adhering things down so that they can I can start working on my embellishment areas. I've kind of got my layers figured out and my photos figured out. And I did ink up the edges of that little lined paper with some walnut stain distress ink. I actually inked up quite a few things with that, so all of those papers have that kind of ink on it just to give a little bit of a dark border to it. And walnut stain is my favorite of the browns in the distress ink. I find that it is more of a true brown versus the vintage photo, which a lot of people use, and to me it looks like it has a heavier orange background in it. And so that's why I like the walnut stain. And I also don't really juicy up my my blending pad there, the foam pad. It's pretty dry, so it just gives a nice finish to the edges. I'm just using my T-square ruler to kind of align things. Usually in a grid, I either use that T-square ruler for everything, or I don't use it at all and I try to go a little wonky with everything. So this is a little piece from the ephemera. I did have a chipboard piece. You can see it at the top of the screen there, but then I found it in the ephemera, which I liked better because it just added, I could add the other pieces on top of it. So this pumpkin is getting popped up onto some foam, and it's going to have the more dimensional layer to it than those little, I don't know what they're called, berries, those little red berry things. But I liked it because those little red berries are kind of in that bottom spray of flowers that I fussy cut out. And so it brings that up to the upper right hand side and kind of completes the look. So I'm bringing in more of the same flowers that are on the lower left to the upper right, adding that pumpkin. So it adds that additional color. And a little acorn there to bring in some brown. Now I pull out some yellow washi tape. I'm just going to put that on the side there, and then I put a piece up at the top of the journaling area with the lines on it. My original layout does have some washi tape on it as well, so I wanted to kind of honor that. And it does not have that perfect grid look in the original, but this layout felt like it needed to be more perfect. with regard to the orientation of the photographs. Now, obviously, the journaling area on the left-hand side is at an angle, and I don't mind that. It looks like it's just kind of tucked in haphazardly, and I like the way that that looks. But I did want the photos to be more straight on. Now I am adding some chipboard buttons and some little chipboard flowers, trying to figure out where to put those. I added some blue ones over behind the pumpkin to bring in the blue to that corner, and then a blue button up at the top of the journaling area, and some orange flowers up there because I have the yellow washi tape up there, but I didn't have any other color, so I thought I would add those orange flowers and the blue button. I'm just putting a little bit of cording through the button. I think it's just like a hemp cord. It's nothing. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby, maybe in the jewelry area. I didn't get it in the scrapbooking area, I know that, but it's nothing like it's just plain white or creamy color, so it's nothing that's like fancy or anything like that, which I think works perfect on a fall layout that's kind of more natural colors, or more of those darker fall colors. I think the natural cording looks really well with that, and so I'm pretty happy with the way that works. And then I decided to add a few brads. I don't know that I have brads on the original, but I did have more buttons, so I thought I would add in some brads to kind of take the place of those buttons and bring in some more round elements. So I just have one in the area by the pumpkin, and I'm going to add one over to the area right above the blue button that's on the journaling area. I do have that round black mat that's underneath is a mouse pad type mat, so it's foam, and it allows me to put my paper down and poke a hole easily because it has that foam surface to receive my pokey tool, in case you were wondering what that was. And then I am just going to washi tape the back of the brads there so that they don't get caught up when I'm sticking it into my album. And then I did add a title, and I did that off screen, so I apologize that you didn't get to see that. It is an acrylic piece from Colorcast Designs. So go and check everyone who is in my description box down below. There will be links to all of their channels, and go and see how they have scrap lifted themselves for this Groundhog Day hop. I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have questions or comments, you can leave those down below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.